Green Lantern issue 32, Legacy number 599, which, they care about now that they're about to hit 600 because they're doing a oversized issue 600 next time. But this is Jeremy Adams writing with Montos on the art. And as the front cover clearly indicates, Hal is going to propose to Carol this issue. Carol is lied to by Dove that there's an emergency in Paris, but it was actually a ruse to get her to meet up with Hal, who's waiting with some flowers, and he's got a whole date night planned, and she's got the day off from the Justice League, and they're going to have the nice day in Paris. There's a quick scene of Krona and the Hal Jordan clone body, or whatever we want to call that, going on his way in the Dark Sector 7, and the Guardians following in pursuit, try to keep an eye on what he's doing.
So they're not keeping a good cover,
no,
because they stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, who are these 3 foot blue dudes that keep following me? I wonder who they could be.
Diminutive people in cloaks. Like who could that possibly be?
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I think those 2 pages are just to sort of keep that ticking and like, hey, reminding you this is still going on. They don't want you to forget about it, which is good. Like, you should remind us of that, even though it's not the focus of the issue. So yeah, he takes Carol shopping. She gets a nice dress to get out of her Star Sapphire outfit. There's a little bit of a montage of them dancing. They have dinner, all the rest of it, and there's a lot of talking about the fact that he's just told her about the visions in his head that he got from the book, and that he's going to be going on like a trip to try and deal with that. And she's like, oh, why didn't you tell me right away? And he's like, because I didn't want you to be worried. And she's like, no, I want to worry about you. And it feels like it's getting kind of romantic and, lovey-dovey. So he starts building up the courage to take out the ring. But there's, not even commotion. Carol just kind of senses that there's something wrong in the city. And we cut to this villain who's up to no good. And Carol and Hal suit up. They go over, they stop her. There's a bit of a fight. And this girl basically is able to do a big... I don't even know if it's meant to be a boom tube or just a big boom from an explosion, like a big flashbang or whatever. But she sends both of the heroes flying, and Hal, when he lands, the proposal, the little, the ring box comes like, tumbling out of him and lands on the ground next to him. And Carol looks over and sees it. And it's the awkward moment. He's like, oh, Star, are you okay? And he notices that she's seen it. He's like, oh, listen. He tries to sort of talk. And he's like, oh, this isn't how I wanted to do this. And then she just goes, did she ruin your proposal? And then like this panel of her looking absolutely furious. Did she ruin my proposal? And then, goes off, like, basically makes a big giant dog, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, she makes a dog to chase her, but not before a hand with brass knuckles with spikes on them. So she's like pissed.
Oh yeah, she's coming in hot, and Hal has to come in and like kind of like leash the dog a little bit, like the construct. And she's like, hey, I think she's learned her lesson. I think we can we can just like cuff her and deal with this. But basically, she's like, oh, this artifact that this woman stole has this gem in it, and it's partly one of the. Was it 7 parts of love? Like 7 so yeah. So Eros, Philia, Storge, Ludus, Pragma, Philotia, Agape, and Mania are the elements of love, and the Star Sapphire entity wants Carol to find all of them. She's already got 2 of them to complete and restore the Star Sapphires. So it sounds like he's trying to solidify some lore here about the Star Sapphires, which is kind of cool. I mean, I've not really encountered a bunch of this stuff before, so this is kind of interesting.
No, all I know, and I go pretty deep back with Green Lantern lore, is that the Zamorans were an offshoot of the Guardians, right? And that with the whole Star Sapphire thing was a chunk of the Star Heart, right? That they, charged with love, because they, that's why they went off. They wanted to feel the emotions. That's why the Zamorans went off. And the fact that Star Sapphire was this like love struck character, and that's what the character concept was for like decades, right? The fact here that Adams is seemingly taking these different forms of love and being like, well, we need to unite them all because that's what love is. It's all of these different 7 aspects. Is there 7? I can't write 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 7. Again, 7 in a Green Lantern book, of course. Like the different emotions and stuff. Because I looked up all of these, and I don't remember because I read this on Wednesday or Thursday, but like I do remember like pragma. That's like the love between parents and children.
Yeah.
Right.
That was because I was trying to think of, because there's like, okay, 7 kinds of love, and I'm like, okay, so obviously there's the straight up romantic love. That's the first one most people think of. And parents and children, and I assume then there's maybe siblings as well as a separate one, or is that still fall the same one as the parents?
It might be the parents, but like the agape is like the love of like what you do, right?
Oh, your passion.
So that's why it was
right,
the passion, and that's why there was that fragment in that cross that villain was taking.
Right. Okay.
Right, because it has to do with like duty and all this other stuff. I looked up the other ones and I can't remember them because there's too much going on, but I definitely like the direction of that. And like Carol going on this because, you know, it's felt like that entity has been gone for a while. And like when we were doing all the stuff with Atoms and the Starbreakers and all of that, it seemed really light on the Violet. So it seems like that was by intent. And like she's gonna go off on this side quest. You know, and again, I'll take more of that type of lore. I like Carol as a character. She hasn't been fleshed out really. Like she's kind of just been, you know, until she became Star Sapphire again, she was Hal's love interest for the longest time.
Yeah,
especially when she's not Star Sapphire. So,
I think Adams has done an okay job with her in this run, because I feel like between like the, you know, the fiance that became the Grey Lantern and you know, coming back with Hal, and then this stuff is giving her her own kind of mission, and it's almost like a spectrum of love, and it almost makes me wonder, like, could each of the different like colors in the spectrum have their own spectrum? So I don't know if you could somehow say there's 7 types of will, because that doesn't make any sense. But
no, but the love makes it, because if you look at it right, what Johns had originally explained with the spectrum was the closer you get to center, the more stable it is. Right? So love and anger are both on opposite sides, and those are the 2 that were the most volatile. Right? So if we're going to have multiple aspects, having like even different kinds of anger, you know what I mean? I could see that. The closer you get to the middle, you know, the less of them there are.
I could see 7 types. Well, I mean, not 7. I'm just saying 7 because they've got 7 for this. But I could see 7 types of anger. I could see 7 types of fear, because you know you can have like, you know, phobias, but you could have fear of like very real dangerous things. You could have fear of things that you're just too nervous to, like, you know, commitments and things like that, or fear of you know, there's lots of different types of fear, and I suppose anger as well.
Well, but then we even saw that through the different Green Lanterns, how they experience will, right? Where Jessica Cruz's version of willpower and her overcoming all of her stuff is a lot different than what Guy uses the will for too.
Sure, you know? But I don't think you can define those quite the same way, because I feel like
not in the same way.
I feel like love, fear, anger, maybe hope to an extent. Like I could argue there's different types of all those things where you could sort of break them down into subcategories. I don't know if you can do that with will, or compassion. I think compassion is compassion, and will as well. And there's no real
same with greed.
Yeah, greed is,
but like it's there.
Yeah, I mean, you could be a little greedy or a lot greedy, but I don't think there's different, you know, like genres of greed per se.
There's a reason why the only words that we hear from Larfleeze in the Oath is mine.
Yes.
You know, like it boils down. So yeah, but I do appreciate what Adams is doing here, and it's not just like, oh, let's do more, you know, color core and that type of stuff. It's like, no, let's drill down deep on what does a love spectrum look like?
I think it's good because it's fleshing out one of the colors, but it's also fleshing out one of the main characters in Carol, which is giving her something that's her own to go and explore and do. And it also feels kind of nice that that's happened the same time that Hal's going to go and explore this other stuff. And that obviously leads to, you know, the end of this issue where he knows he's leaving. We should probably just mention here, he does like sort of like take out the ring and goes to propose, and she's like cuts him off and says, no, don't do it now, right? It's not perfect. And he, like, and it basically indicates that the answer's almost certainly going to be yes, but do it when we're not both like about to leave and getting called away to do different things, and when we can both be present. And I'm like, dude, you're both superheroes. I don't know if you're ever going to have that much of that, but sure, I get what you're saying. But the end of the issue is Hal going up to the moon to meet Kyle, who is using constructs to play baseball because, you know, Kyle. And basically he's like, hey, isn't the Earth pretty? I need to go away for some time. So could you, you know, keep an eye on Earth for me? He basically passes the torch and says, hey, this is your book now. That's effectively what this page was. While he's away exploring this Corona stuff, or not Corona, but, you know, the Book of Oa and all that, Kyle's going to take over the book. And he basically magically Green Lantern boom tubes away and lands in front of one of the Wonder Twins. That was like random to me. I don't know what's going on there, but sure. And not only that, he lands like he's the Terminator. He's down on his knee with his fists down and he's looking down, and I was just like bum 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 bum. And I'm like, okay, interesting. But I assume that issue 600, which is next, is going to really set up what he's actually doing here. And set up the Kale stuff. I imagine they'll both get a story in that issue because it's oversized, but yeah.
Yes. I was pleased to see Jaina again, because I did love that Mark Russell Wonder Twins book. But what the hell is she doing in the pages of Green Lantern? So, you know. But yeah. Very, very curious to see where this goes.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed this issue quite a bit. I think it's you know, I've relatively enjoyed these standalone Hal goes and talks to people issues, but I think this is the best one because this one feels it has the most meaningful impact because it's actually setting up stuff for Carol, which is cool, who is a main character here, and then obviously Hal as well. I think this actually feels more impactful because I think those other issues, well, they're nice little, he's working with Ollie for an issue, he's working with Batman for an issue. They kind of felt like they were just like, how do I say filler? But they kind of, like when we said it, felt like it was kind of spinning its wheels whilst Adams was doing a lot of tie-in stuff. This is one feels like it's more focused again, and like, okay, we're actually setting up what's coming next. And we're treating the characters like they're important. And then Montos obviously is very good on the art. Everything looks great, especially all that stuff in the moon in the last page with Hal and his Terminator pose.
Yeah, I really think too that like in a superhero book, when you can see the artist drawing them as regular people, right? And everything still has that sense of motion. So the scene of them going around Paris, right? And the dancing and this, that, and the other, and that looks just as good as the baseball stuff. And, you know, the fight scene with Cupid and all this other, you know, which also, I don't think we pointed that out, that the villain's name was Cupid.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it. That's why.
in the Valentine's Day themed issue as well. All that stuff also looked great, and just the colors. Like, Montos is really good at the purples and the greens, as we've learned. So the fact that, you know, we got the Star Sapphire Green Lantern issue here was real good. But yeah. Yeah.
It felt really nicely focused again, and I like the development they're doing with Carol, which is cool. So yeah, and I'm excited for Kale to take over because, you know, I like Hal, but I like Kale more. So yeah.
Look, I need Connor Kent and Odyssey, the Time Bandit, back in my life.
I feel like they'll probably be around because they were supporting characters for Kyle's like subplot. So yeah, I mean, if I wouldn't surprise me if like Hal still has a subplot. Maybe they may just be switching like who has the A plot and who has the B plot for a while. Maybe unless Hal gets sent to something else, perhaps like a miniseries or whatever. I don't know. But regardless, what were you rating Green Lantern issue 32?
I'm gonna give this 8.5.
I'll be a little more reserved and just give it an 8, but I do think this is the best issue of Green Lantern in, you know,
he's
4 or 5 months at least.
Adam's back with his fastball on this one.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see after just a couple of, you know, fluffy like issues that didn't really do that much, I guess is what I said.